Today I thought I'd make a video on how I rescue a painting. About a week ago I got an email from a collector who was interested in a painting that they saw on my Artwork Archive page. So Artwork Archive is this website that my wife and I use to categorize what our paintings are, where they've been, how much we sold them for, what's available, and it's a great tool to send to collectors with the available work that we have. And she was kind of perusing through some of the older stuff that I had on my site, and I had the painting that I have behind me, my friend Meredith here, and she saw that painting and wanted it. And so the painting was just an experimental piece to begin with. It's actually painted on a translucent plexiglass. If you look, you can see actually the easel through the actual painting. So it's actually on a translucent sheet of plastic. And so I haven't touched the painting in probably 12 years. And so when I brought the painting out and was looking at it and was going to refresh it, I noticed that a lot of dust had settled onto the painting and embedded itself into the darks of the painting. And so I thought this would be a great video to show you guys how I get rid of that dust. So here's the painting on the easel. And like I said before, you can see the translucency in the background. You can see my easel coming through the panel. That white right there is actually just a dye bond panel, unprimed dye bond panel, or ACM panel. Aluminum composite material that I have just put behind there. That was my wife's idea. I just needed something white. I was going to grab a piece of foam core, and I went into our garage where we store all of our panels and everything, and I just pulled out this white panel. In the close-up here, you can see in the shadows where there's dust. And the painting's really, really unfinished. I think I'm going to come in and work on the hand some more. That's just pretty much initial strokes. And the way I paint is I try to knit across the forms and add color as I do that. And you can kind of see that in how I'm starting to develop the thumb and the pointer finger there. Also in the face. But if you look into the shadows, like we're saying, they're kind of dull. They need to be brought up to how the paint was when I left it. I want to get that satin luster in the paint. I'm going to pull out a little bit so you can see the piece. So coming back in, here's a close-up of the face. And then you can see on the side of her cheek that's going to turn into the shadow. You can see how right through here, let me get in focus. You can see where the dust is in her hair, in the orbital cavity, the shadows under her eyes, where all that dust is. I'm going to roll focus onto the other side, and you can really see the texture of the painting here, which is great. I need to shoot more videos of my art. I think online it tends to be kind of blended too much. From the side here. So first I take a brush and just kind of dust off the area. And then I want to make sure that the surface doesn't have any grease on it. And so to do this I use Windex. And I spray the Windex onto a paper towel. I don't spray the Windex directly on the painting itself. I spray it on a paper towel. And so I gently take the paper towel with the Windex on it. And in a circular form, I just kind of go over the surface to kind of clean it off, degrease the area. Sometimes if you have grease from your fingers from touching the painting or just anything else over time, the paint won't stick to the painting. It'll kind of come up and bubble up. So what this does is it prepares the surface to be able to take the medium that I'm going to put on to oil out. And we're also getting rid of dust this way as well, just surface dust. Cleaning the painting. So see, I touched it, so I want to wipe it. Making sure it's dry. Now the next step, you want to get a soft brush. This is a treacle brush. And the brush, you want to have a lot of give to the brush, that the bristles kind of are free and it's very soft. You don't want to scratch the surface at all. And you want to use Liquid Original, which I have here. And so I put a little bit on my brush, and I work the liquid into the surface of the painting. Now I'm not globbing it on, it's very, very thin coat, but working that medium into the surface of the painting. Coming through and wiping off any excess. Here's I'm preparing the surface for wet sandpaper. So I use a high grit sandpaper, a 2000 grit, which is very delicate to the surface of the painting. So kind of liquefying the surface a little bit more with the liquid. Getting it ready to use the 2000 grit sandpaper. So it's a wet, dry sandpaper that's used for polishing. And you don't want to use really rough sandpaper. You'll take off the paint. So I only use a little bit. It's a very delicate sandpaper. I fold over one edge, and I just lightly do circles to loosen up the top dust that's settled into the paint. And you can see it's not lifting up any of the painting itself, just getting at the dust. And I go into the shadow areas. You're probably going to notice more dust in the shadow areas versus the lights. I'm applying even pressure here. Now I want to take my brush again and just go over the areas that I've loosened up the dust. And as I'm doing this, I'm wiping the brush with a paper towel. So basically picking up the dust and then wiping out the dust from the brush on the paper towel. That's in my left hand. I'm right-handed, so there I'm wiping it, picking up the dust, and just preparing that surface for more paint. Wiping the brush and moving around. There's already liquid on the surface, and so I'm using the brush to dry brush that liquid still further into the surface of the painting. And at the end I'm going to take a soft paper towel again and just gently kind of buff the surface. Gently. Just to pick up any extra dust that's there. And also working the medium into the painting. See a piece there, and in the eye. You're going to see more dust in the shadows than you are in the lights. So I'm going to show you a close-up of the hands and an area that's really dusty. So again, coming in with the liquid just over top of this, and you can see where the darks now are starting to come back, and they're becoming more reflective even. Coming with the brush just to kind of knock the medium on top of the dusty areas. I've already Windexed this area, the painting. And as I'm doing this, I'm even thinking, how would I paint this? So that never leaves my thought. Like, how does this edge of the thumb turn? How can I fix that? So I get the wet sandpaper again. Circular motions to loosen up that top layer of any dust that's settled. And this painting has a lot of dust on it. So I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm surrounded by desert, high desert. So it's a constant fight for me to keep everything dust free. Again, really preparing this painting for paint. Rescuing it. So I've loosened up the top layer of dust and come back in with the soft brush again. And as I'm doing this, I'm pulling out the dust that I see. Thinking about the transitions also of what I'm painting. I love that transition from the knuckle into the part of the hand, the back of the hand. Again, wiping that dust off with the paper towel. Picking up any spare pieces that have kind of been loosened. So it's all prepped and ready to paint. I want to thank everybody for watching this video. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe, share it with friends. Take care and paint well.